So you've got this brilliant idea, right? Something that could really be a game changer. But how do you get the fuel, the cash, to actually launch it? Well, today we're going to break down that exact blueprint, turning the whole complicated quest for capital into a clear, step-by-step mission.
This really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's the one that keeps so many amazing founders up at night. You can see the future, you have the vision, but trying to navigate the world of investors and funding applications, it can feel like you're lost in a maze.
But here's the good news. It's not some kind of magic trick. It's a process. And it's a blueprint that anyone with a solid idea and the passion to see it through can absolutely follow. So let's start at the very beginning.
All right, welcome to Phase 1, crafting your core blueprint. Before you even think about asking for a single dollar, you've got to build a rock-solid foundation. This is where you make your idea completely undeniable.
Now, this might sound super basic, but trust me, this is the most critical step of all. You need to be able to explain in crystal clear terms what you do, who you do it for, and why it's so important. Investors want to see that you've thought deeply about your mission, not just a cool product. This little sentence right here, it's your secret weapon. Seriously, it's so much more than an elevator pitch. It's a tool for clarity. If you can fill in these blanks nice and tight, you've nailed the very essence of your business in a way anyone, and I mean anyone, can understand instantly.
Okay, once your core idea is locked in, it's time to map out the journey. And I want to stress that word, simple. We're not talking about some 50-page monster of a business plan. We're talking about a straightforward guide that proves you've thought about the how.
And these are the things you've got to include. What are you actually going to get done in 3 months, 6 months, a year? Who are your customers, and how on earth are you going to reach them? Look, investors don't expect you to have a crystal ball, but they absolutely need to see you're asking all the right questions.
And that brings us to Phase 2. This is where we focus on the two resources that every single startup needs to survive and hopefully thrive: money and people.
Now, when we talk about capital, the potential can be pretty huge. For instance, some venture partners might invest up to $5 million, even in early-stage companies. This just goes to show how important it is to know exactly what you need to make your big vision a reality.
But here's the thing, you can't just pick a number out of thin air. You have to back it up. A clear budget breakdown, something like this, shows you're thinking like a CEO. It sends a message to an investor that says, I have a plan for every single dollar you give me.
And that brings us to the other critical resource, your team. You know, it's a classic saying in the startup world, but it's just so true. An idea is just a spark. It's the people who have to carry that torch through all the ups and downs. That's why you'll hear investors say over and over again, they invest in people, sometimes even more than the idea itself.
Let's really break this down because it's so important. A good idea on its own? It's interesting. It has potential. But a great team with a good idea? That is investable. Why? Because investors are betting on things they can actually see in you: your resilience, your expertise, your pure unstoppable commitment. They're betting on you to turn a concept into a real, breathing business. Okay, your foundation is solid, you know what you need. Now we get to Phase 3, and this is all about action. This is where you package everything up, your blueprint, your plan, your passion, into an official pitch that makes investors stop scrolling and pay attention.
Your pitch deck is basically your startup's highlight reel. Think of it as telling a story in about 10 or 15 slides. You start by hooking them with a really compelling problem. Then you blow them away with your unique solution, and finally, you prove why your team is the only one in the world that can pull it off. With their investment, of course.
And here's a small but absolutely critical piece of advice. Professionalism really, really matters. A typo, a confusing sentence, it can signal a lack of attention to detail. So please, take the extra hour to polish everything. It says a lot about the care you're going to put into building your company.
So what actually happens after you click that scary submit button? Well, it's usually a lot less mysterious than you think. The best funding partners have a super streamlined process. You submit, you meet the experts, you get an offer. A simple, transparent process like this takes away the anxiety and lets you know exactly where you stand.
And that leads us right into the final leg of the journey, Phase 4. This is where your application turns into a real conversation and a potential deal turns into a true partnership.
When you finally get that meeting, it is your moment. Of course, they want to see your passion. They want to see that you know your market inside and out. But they're also looking for something else, something called coachability. Are you willing to listen, to learn, to collaborate? They're looking for a partner they can build with, not just a pitch they can fund.
If everything goes well, you'll get that funding offer. And it's so important to understand what you're looking at. There are three main parts. The investment amount, that's the cash you get. The equity stake, that's the percentage of your company you give in return. And the valuation, that's what the investor thinks your whole company is worth at that moment.
And please remember this, the best funding is never just a transaction. It's the start of a long-term relationship. You should be looking for partners who bring more than just a checkbook. Partners who can offer mentorship, with legal stuff, with marketing, with operations. That is what they call smart money, and it's what will really help you scale.
Whew, we have walked through the entire blueprint, all the way from a spark of an idea to a potential offer. So to make this all super practical, let's wrap up with one final tool, a simple checklist you can use before you take that big, exciting leap.
Before you hit send, just run down this list. Is my idea clear? Is my roadmap solid? Do I know exactly what I'm asking for? If you can confidently tick every single one of these boxes, you, my friend, are in an amazing position to make a powerful first impression. So there you have it. The blueprint isn't a secret anymore. It's a tool, and it's in your hands now. The real question isn't how do I get funded anymore? The real question is what incredible story are you going to build with it?